The Defense Department, as well as the State Department, have been in contact with all of their counterparts not only in Israel, but in the region.
In the region.
And one of the things that I have seen thus far is that...
So we know what's going on in Israel. I hope, if you don't know, Israel's bombing the shit out of neighborhoods, just regular people killing kids, whatever. And it could stop like that if Joe Biden said so. If Joe Biden told Israel to stop it, they would, because he could cut off aid. There's lots of stuff he could do. But Biden says Israel has not overreacted to the Gaza rocket attacks. Wow. The guy who was for invading a country for something they didn't do. Who would have thought he'd be okay with this? Isn't that something? So here, just so you know, the number of reported bombings in the past 24 hours is horrific. These are the bombings. 2 million people trapped inside a tiny strip of land, already facing perpetual shortages of essential medicines because of Israel's illegal blockade, mercilessly bombed on the holiday of Eid. This is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Denser than London, and about half the population is under 18. And there's your bombings. Wow. And, you know, maybe Joe Biden is okay with this because he's demented. No one ever brings that up, that Joe Biden actually isn't operating at his full capacity, that he is suffering from early onset dementia, or maybe it's not early onset.
He's in it.
He's in it. I think Biden is tired of all this malarkey of the Palestinians just wanting to not be brutalized. I think that's what Biden. So you want to hear him say it? You'll hear him say it, that he doesn't think that they've overreacted. Here we go.
The Defense Department, as well as the State Department.
It sounds like he's struggling even to remember the names of departments. Watch.
The Defense Department, as well as the State Department, have been in contact with all of their counterparts not only in Israel, but in the region.
In the region.
And one of the things that I have seen thus far is that there has not been a significant overreaction. The question is how.
So I like how he says there has not been a significant. Oh, first of all, he does the tell. He touches his nose. That's the Pinocchio tell. If you talk to body language people, that's the tell. We'll do a little Joyanne Reid on you. We'll be like MSNBC over here. So he does that. He doesn't make eye contact with the people. He looks down and he says, there has not been a significant overreaction. First of all, he's admitting there, which he doesn't even realize, that there's been an overreaction. He's just saying it's not significant. Sure, they're overreacting, but not significantly. They're bombing kids. They're bombing kids. Let me bring you in, Max. What would you say to Joe Biden saying that there haven't been a significant overreaction?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really dementia here. It's Joe Biden having been in the Senate for 40 years, doing Israel's bidding at every step of the way, raking in total of $4 million from pro-Israel donors over his career, declaring on the Senate floor that if Israel didn't exist, the United States would have to create it, and praising Ariel Sharon, the destroyer of the Jenin refugee camp, one of the worst war criminals in human history, as the bulldozer at his funeral. He was praising the bulldozers that knocked down so many Palestinian family homes, and his eulogy to Ariel Sharon. So that's sort of who Biden is. He today was asked about Israel-Palestine in one of the more bizarre moments I've seen of his presidency so far. He's sitting in a car, and he's surrounded by reporters, and they're acting like Joe Biden in a car. You have the video of that?
I have the video of that. Here's what you were talking about.
Quick.
How's it drive? How does it feel? Would you buy one of
feeling?
How does it feel to be behind the wheel, sir?
It feels great. I tell you what, these electric vehicles. Now, I don't know if anybody has a stopwatch.
So this is, I think, the definition of infantilizing someone. Hey, how does it feel to be behind the wheel of a car? What did he just? Did a Martian just fly down and shit him out of an egg? Hasn't he been driving his entire? What are you talking? The guy's 79 years old. We've had cars his entire life. Hey, how does it feel to be driving a car?
It's like Mr. Burns. Like, is this the Velocitator? What does this do?
Would you like some more applesauce? What do they do? Well, it gets worse.
I think if we're going 0 to 60 in about 4.3. 4.4?
Right.
4 flat?
Well, we haven't released it, President.
I should be quiet.
Mr. President, how fast were you going?
Okay, I'm just going to step on it. I'll come off at 80 miles an hour. You'll see what it is, okay? You ready?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you can't.
So did you hear? Did you hear? They finally asked him a question. Did you hear? They finally asked him a question. Watch this.
Step on it. I'll come off at 80 miles an hour. You'll see what it is, okay? You ready?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you can't. Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. I'm only teasing. Okay, here we go. You ready?
See it, sir.
You ready?
They act like it's a new invention.
Best test driver ever. I think that was I heard a verbatim of Holy S word.
What is so special about that truck? I don't know the story, but like, how does it feel, sir? That's like what you say to a toddler when they're in their little play car and they're like, how does it feel to be in that toy? But then he threatens to run over a reporter who just asks permission to ask about Israel.
May I ask a question?
Please, sir, may I please ask something else that isn't about how it feels to be in a car?
Why wouldn't you just
ask the question? And then he threatens to run him over. Can you imagine if Trump did that?
No, yes, I can.
This is on the day. This is like a week. This is on the day the White House pretty much threatened Congress against blocking or delaying a $735.6 million shipment of JDAM bunker buster bombs from Boeing to Israel to exterminate more families in the Gaza Strip. I mean, you can kind of just see him driving off to, send those 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs to Netanyahu. And they're like, please, sir, may I ask about Israel? It's like the most pathetic display of the parrot jungle of Beltway media stenographers in their sycophantic love for the dear leader who is allowing them to go back to brunch. And this slaughter is happening. He's not only presiding over it, the U.S. has blocked 3 attempts at the UN
to get a ceasefire.
To call for a ceasefire.
And that's what the press corps does. They ask him permission to ask a question. And now you know why they don't give a shit about Julian Assange. Because they're not half the man that he is. That's why. They ask permission of a guy who's currently presiding over 2 genocides if they can ask a question about it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's the relationship of the press and Biden in a nutshell. And once again, I mean, Donald Trump was painted as someone who was out there bumping off journalists because he shouted at Jim Acosta. I remember the day he shouted at Jim Acosta, who was, the biggest punk. Just all he wanted to do was ask about Russia. Sir, what about your collusion with Russia? It's like any dignified person would have screamed at him for this McCarthyite question. And the whole of Twitter was just consumed in this freak out over Trump wanting to exterminate journalists. This clip barely is registered.
Yeah, So here's what President Biden tweeted out. Get ready for this. As the holy month of Ramadan comes to an end, Jill and I send our warmest greetings to all those celebrating Eid. May you be well throughout the year. Eid Mubarak.
And it's thanks to shipments of U.S. weapons that Over 60 children in the Gaza Strip have been killed in their homes, mostly in their beds, mostly at night, mostly with their families. We're getting close to 300 civilian casualties overall in Gaza. It's mostly thanks to the U.S. weapons authorized under Biden's watch, under Trump's watch, and also under Obama's watch. And he's wishing them happy Eid. I mean, it is the most perverse insult. And we see, if I was at the protest in Washington, there was 250,000 people marching in Dearborn today. Another emergency protest in Washington. And these are diverse protests, people of all faiths and races and so on. But there are many Muslims there, and they're absolutely outraged by what's happening, and they identify strongly with the oppression of Palestinians. So Biden's just he's rubbing it in their face with this.
That's
and,
what this is.
I should mention today that the Israeli military tweeted a verse from the Quran.
No.
Along with an image of buildings exploding in the Gaza Strip. And it was a verse about the companions of the elephants who, I think attacked the armies of Muhammad. I might be getting the story wrong, and how they were reduced to straw by a flock of vicious birds, which Israel is comparing to its U.S.-made missiles. So Israel's quoting the Quran to taunt Palestinians for being killed in the Gaza Strip.
So this is Joe Biden on Twitter, and the only place you're going to get peace efforts by the United States is on Twitter. And as he says that about them celebrating Eid, and you're literally enabling a massacre right now in Gaza. As he's that's exactly what's happening. I can't think of anything more cynical than this. I can't either, actually. You stumped me. I mean, that's amazing. Oh, come on, Mac. Shut up, man. That's what he would say. And here's Ben Norton. If Biden truly wanted to wish Muslims an Eid Mubarak, he'd pressure the Israeli apartheid regime to end its bombing of Gaza and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. If the United States told Israel to stop, it'd stop overnight. But Biden refuses to because he supports it. That's you can't say anything else. Of course he supports this. If he doesn't support it, why wouldn't he stop it? Because he supports it. And he says they haven't overreacted. This is your competent, decent guy, Joe Biden. Competent. And you know why he's so decent? Because he took the most money from pro-Israel PACs. Look at that. Of the top 20 recipients, he took $3 million, more than any. The next guy is David Perdue, who took $1 million. So he's got him by 300%. The next guy closest to Joe Biden, taking money from pro-Israel PACs. U.S. blocks UN resolution on Israel-Palestine as Biden asserts Israel's right to defense. So he's blocking the UN from ending the slaughter. That's what Joe Biden's doing. He's blocking the UN from ending the slaughter. So, and here, this Israeli prime minister, that's what this is. You ready for this tweet? The weak crumble, are slaughtered and are erased from history, while the strong, for good or for ill, survive. The strong are respected, and alliances are made with the strong, and in the end, peace is made with the strong. What in the F? So he's saying we're not killing the strong, we're killing weak people. The weak amongst you, we're going to kill women, children, the old, sick, people who can't defend themselves. We're killing them. Isn't that what he's saying?
It's the fascistic language we expect from a leader or self-proclaimed caliph of the Jewish state in Israel and the Levant, or what we like to call JSIL. And this is, characteristic language for Netanyahu. He is seeking to keep this failed war going. And I can talk about why Israel is actually losing. He's seeking to keep this failed war going to preserve his political career and prevent a new coalition government from coming in. And he has succeeded in that so far. One of his adversaries, Naftali Bennett, who represents the far right of the Israeli political spectrum, has actually decided to, at least for now, pull out of the opposition coalition and side with Netanyahu during this assault on Gaza. Basically, it's another blood for vote scenario. Netanyahu is achieving no military success whatsoever in Gaza, failing to stop rockets, failing to strike anything of any military significance. The main Israeli operation, which was supposed to destroy Gaza's tunnel network and kill its major commanders and leadership, where they deployed a deception and falsely claimed before the international media that they were enacting a ground invasion, hoping that this would mean that Hamas's top commanders and the prime minister of Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, would go into the tunnels, and then they bombed the tunnel network in the middle of Gaza City in deeply populated civilian neighborhoods. They bombed them with JDAM, like bunker buster depth charges. But nobody went into the tunnels. They didn't fall for it, the ruse. And so the entire operation failed, and they wound up just exterminating entire families. And Netanyahu, all he has left is his political career and the ability to kill more children, kill more entire families as they're sleeping in their beds, like the Al-Uf family in Gaza City, which lost something like 11 members from age 3 to age 80, including the top coronavirus doctor in Gaza.
Joe Biden says Israel has a right to defend itself. And I just want to remind everybody, nothing will fundamentally change under Joe Biden. That was what he said. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.